All right, so I, I bet you're wondering what it really takes to make a business successful.
Well, we just dug into a YouTube video by Brian Tracy. He's like this business guru.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of his stuff.
And this really sharp article from Remotion, it's all about startup strategies.
Nice. That's a good
Yeah,
combo.
we're going to pull out the most important points for you.
Like a cheat sheet for success.
Exactly. And one thing that struck me is both sources, even though they're different, both emphasize that success isn't about just working hard.
It's about working smart.
Yeah, having a plan, the right mindset.
And they both keep coming back to this idea of focus.
Oh, absolutely.
It sounds almost cliche at first,
Right, like a motivational poster.
but then Tracy brings in these examples.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, Bill Gates.
The heavy hitters.
And you realize, okay, this isn't just fluff. These guys live this.
It's not just that they believe in focus, he explains how they do it.
Like, what's their strategy?
Buffett, for example, he's famous for saying no to almost everything so he can focus on the few things that really matter.
That takes discipline.
It does, and it's not just for billionaires either. I love the story Tracy tells about this New Zealand coffee guy.
So, yeah. What was his name?
I don't remember, but he built this $50 million business from nothing.
Wow.
And his biggest advice, focus and fail fast.
I love that. So it applies whether you're just starting out or you're running a giant company.
Exactly. And that fail fast part, it ties into this really interesting concept Tracy brings up from Daniel Kahneman.
Oh, yeah, the thinking fast versus thinking slow thing.
Right. He argues that making big business decisions using the wrong kind of thinking, it can be disastrous.
So explain that for me. What does Kahneman mean by these two types of thinking?
Okay, so Kahneman, he basically says we have two modes.
Okay.
Fast thinking, it's our gut reaction, it's intuitive, great for everyday choices.
Makes sense.
But for big business decisions, like a huge investment, a major change in direction,
High stakes stuff.
that's when we need slow thinking, the deliberate, analytical kind.
So you're not just reacting, you're really thinking it through.
Exactly. And Tracy's point is entrepreneurs, we're often so action-oriented, we default to that fast thinking when we should be slowing down.
I'm totally guilty of that.
He observed these super successful people during times of crisis.
Oh, interesting.
And they all had this in common. They went calm.
So they didn't make rash decisions.
No, they knew that to access their best thinking, they needed to quiet the noise, the emotional stuff.
It's like that saying, don't make decisions when you're emotional, but now we understand why.
Right. So, okay, we need to engage this slow thinking for the big stuff, but how do we actually do that?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, Tracy brings up this concept called zero-based thinking.
Okay, I've heard of that. Isn't that like an accounting thing?
It is, but it's also a powerful way to look at your entire business.
Oh, interesting.
Products, relationships, investments, anything that's causing you chronic stress, that's a candidate for zero-based thinking.
So it's not just about the numbers, it's about how things are feeling.
Exactly. If something is consistently causing you stress, there's probably a reason.
Like a red flag.
Yeah, it could be that it's no longer serving you or the business, but you're holding on out of fear or habit, or maybe you just haven't really evaluated it.
This is where courage comes in.
Yes, the willingness to face those tough truths and make changes.
Even if it means cutting your losses.
Exactly. So we've got focus, slow thinking, and zero-based thinking, all pointing towards being more strategic.
Intentional, not just reacting.
Right. And what's interesting is both Tracy and Remotion then zero in on the importance of quality.
Yeah, like, okay, you've got a plan, now make sure what you're offering is top-notch.
Tracy even shared this study from Inc. magazine about the 500 fastest growing companies.
I wonder what they found.
You know, they all had in common an obsession with quality.
So it's not just about making a sale, it's about delighting your customers.
Exactly. Tracy even uses this phrase, I love it. Geez, that's a great product.
That's the kind of reaction you want.
Right. Genuine excitement, not just hype.
And Remotion, they echo this in their section on brand identity.
It's not just about a logo, it's about truly understanding your customer and what they want.
So quality isn't just about the product itself, it's the entire experience.
Absolutely. Tracy uses the story of Tony Hsieh and Zappos to drive this point home.
Zappos, the shoe company.
Yeah, they became a billion-dollar business because Tony was obsessed with customer happiness.
They were selling an experience, not just shoes.
Exactly. Okay, so far we've got focus, slow thinking, zero-based thinking, obsession with quality, and customer happiness.
What else does Tracy highlight as essential for building a successful business?
He breaks down his 7 greats. It's a really useful framework. You can use it to assess your own business.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's the first great?
Great leadership, but he defines it in an interesting way. It's not just about being in charge.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's about allocating resources well and making those tough decisions that separate the leaders from everyone else.
He makes this point. If success were easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Exactly. It's those hard choices, the ones no one else wants to make. Those are the ones that lead to extraordinary results.
And that takes us right back to slow thinking.
Absolutely. Great leaders, they don't just react, they think things through, they consider the long-term consequences.
Okay, so that's great leadership. What's the second?
Great product or service.
Okay. But I'm guessing he goes deeper than just make something good.
He does. It's not just about having something valuable to offer. It's about constantly trying to improve it, exceed customer expectations.
So you're not just keeping up, you're aiming to be the best.
Exactly. And this leads right into the third a great business plan.
The classic business plan. But I bet Tracy has a unique take on this.
Oh, he does. He tells this brilliant story about Napoleon.
Napoleon. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
So Napoleon's generals, they're planning this big conquest, right? They present this elaborate strategy, and Napoleon listens patiently. And then he says, "Gentlemen, I'm afraid we can't do it. We don't have the horses."
Okay, where is he going with this?
Tracy's point is that everyone has ideas, but who has the horses?
Meaning?
The resources, the people, the capabilities to actually make it happen.
I see. So a good business plan isn't just about dreaming big. It's about being realistic about what you can achieve.
Exactly. Okay, fourth, a great marketing plan.
All right, marketing, that's key.
But Tracy makes this distinction between marketing and sales.
Okay, I'm listening.
Marketing is attracting people, getting them interested, and sales is converting that interest into paying customers.
Two sides of the same coin.
And he makes the sharp observation, the fastest way to kill a bad product is to market it.
Ouch. Yeah, that makes sense.
You're just exposing more people to something that's not good. You'll damage your reputation.
So marketing can amplify success, but it can also amplify failure.
Precisely. Okay, so we've got great leadership, great product or service, great business plan, great marketing plan. Fifth, great is a great sales plan.
Hit me with it.
This is where having a systematized professional sales process becomes crucial.
So not just winging it.
No. He gives examples of successful companies that train their salespeople to use the exact same process word for word.
So consistency is key.
Yes. You want a process that's proven to work, not something that changes depending on who's doing the selling.
This makes so much sense, but I bet a lot of businesses don't have this level of systemization.
Probably right, especially smaller ones. It's not just about having any system, it's about having a good one.
Okay, we're 5 for 5. Leadership, product service, business plan, marketing, sales. What's next?
Generating great numbers. This is where the data comes in. Tracy emphasizes that everything in business can be measured.
And those numbers tell a story.
If you know how to read it, it's not just about gut feeling anymore. It's about having the data to back up your intuition.
He brings up Jeff Bezos and Amazon, right?
Oh, yeah. They're obsessed with measuring everything, even how long it takes to connect a customer with support.
It seems like a small detail.
But those small details can reveal huge problems or areas for improvement.
So it's not just about understanding the numbers, it's about knowing which numbers matter most.
Exactly. He has this concept of the most important number, the metric that really predicts success for your business.
And it might not be sales.
Right. It could be something else entirely. He tells this incredible story about this entrepreneur. He was about to go bankrupt.
Oh.
He finally figures out his most important number. For him, it was net contribution margin.
Okay.
And within a few years, boom, $100 million in sales.
Wow. So that one number made all the difference.
Yeah. It's about finding the right data for your business. Okay. And finally, the seventh, great.
Drum roll, please.
A great customer service experience.
This is huge.
Tracy argues this is the future of business.
Boy.
Successful companies, they're not just selling products or services anymore. They're selling an experience.
It's about the whole package.
Yeah, they're obsessed with customer happiness, going above and beyond to make things right.
We talked about Zappos earlier.
He uses them as an example again, Tony Hsieh. He believed they were in the customer happiness business, not the shoe business.
It's not just about acquiring customers, it's about keeping them.
And who do happy customers tell? Their friends. Remember that? Geez, that's great. Word of mouth.
Oh yeah, that's powerful stuff.
It all comes from exceptional experiences.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Brian Tracy's 7 Greats for building a successful business. But the Remotion article, they bring in some interesting nuances, especially about strategy.
Okay, like what?
They don't just talk about defining a strategy, they talk about actively managing it.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
No, the world changes so fast, you have to constantly be revisiting, adapting, refining.
It's like having a living document, not something that sits on a shelf.
Exactly. They emphasize things like doing regular environmental scans.
So you're keeping an eye on what's happening in the industry.
Yeah, competitor moves, new trends, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And being willing to adjust your goals.
So you're not married to the original plan if things change.
Right. And then cascading those goals down through the organization so everyone understands how their work contributes to the big picture.
I love that. Everyone's on the same page.
And they have some great advice specifically for young companies.
Oh, this is good. What do they say?
Be realistic about your business. Make decisions based on facts, not just hopes and dreams.
Sometimes it's hard to do when you're excited about an idea.
It is. And they really discourage getting bogged down in super complex strategies right away.
So start simple, focus on what you're good at, and build from there.
Exactly. And they even suggest if you're feeling overwhelmed by the whole strategy thing, bring in a professional.
Like a consultant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that outside perspective can be super valuable.
Like having a coach to guide you.
Exactly. Okay, we've covered a lot, from the importance of focus to the power of customer service.
It's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
If we had to sum it up, what are the main takeaways so far?
I think both sources are saying building a successful business is about more than just having a good idea.
It's about the execution, the planning, the whole package.
Yeah, it's about strategic thinking, the right systems, and a culture of excellence.
It's about making intentional choices, using data, and building a team that's aligned with your vision.
And always learning, adapting, never being satisfied with where you are.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And while there's no magic formula,
These insights can definitely give you a solid roadmap.
I like that, a roadmap for success.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have this strong foundation of principles, but what else does Tracy cover in the YouTube video that we need to include?
He goes on to discuss several important business concepts, and there are a few that really stand out.
Okay, let's unpack those. Which one should we tackle first?
Let's talk about worst possible outcome thinking.
Ooh, that sounds intense. What's that all about?
Tracy suggests that whenever you're considering like a course of action, you should ask yourself, what is the worst possible outcome of this?
Okay.
And can I survive it?
So it's like a pre-mortem for your decisions, right? Thinking through the potential downsides before you commit.
Exactly. He argues that often our fear of those worst-case scenarios is what paralyzes us.
It keeps us from taking risks.
Exactly. So by facing that fear head-on, acknowledging that things could go wrong...
It actually makes it less scary.
Right. And once you've identified that worst possible outcome, you can either decide, okay, I'm okay with that level of risk.
Or you can come up with a plan to mitigate it.
Exactly. This type of thinking is especially relevant in the context of startups where the potential for failure is always there.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
By acknowledging that possibility, you can approach risk in a more calculated way rather than just hoping for the best.
Okay, so worst possible outcome thinking is about facing our fears and making more informed decisions. What other concept does Tracy highlight?
He talks about the principle of constraints.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The principle of constraints states that between you and any goal you want to achieve, there's always a limiting factor.
Like a bottleneck?
Exactly, a bottleneck that's holding you back from progressing as quickly as you could.
So it's like identifying the weakest link in the chain.
Yes. And Tracy's point is that in business, the biggest constraint is often ourselves.
Our own limitations.
Yes, our own limitations, our lack of certain skills, or our unwillingness to change.
He makes this bold statement that most people are only one skill away from doubling their income.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What if there was just one skill you could master that would have that kind of impact on your business?
Yeah, it challenges us to identify those areas where we're holding ourselves back.
Those skills we've been avoiding.
Because they're hard. Or maybe we're scared to try.
Exactly. And it reminds us that all business skills are learnable.
They are.
It might not be easy, but if there's a skill that could significantly improve your business...
It's worth the effort to develop it.
For sure. Okay, so we've got worst possible outcome, thinking, and the principle of constraints. Anything else from the YouTube video that stands out?
Well, Tracy touches on this concept of business model innovation.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, especially in today's world.
Ooh, that sounds very cutting edge. Give me the gist.
He argues that whatever business model you're using today is probably obsolete or soon will be.
Really?
especially in industries that are being disrupted by technology.
It's like the classic innovate or die mantra.
Right. If you're not adapting, the market will leave you behind.
So it's about challenging the status quo, constantly looking for new and innovative ways to deliver value to your customers.
And it connects back to that zero-based thinking we discussed earlier.
Oh, right, questioning everything.
By questioning everything you're doing, you might uncover opportunities to optimize your business model and stay ahead of the curve.
This is all so relevant, especially in today's fast-paced business world. But what does the Remotion article have to say about navigating this constantly changing landscape?
They highlight the importance of staying agile and adaptable, being willing to adjust your strategy as new information emerges.
As the market shifts.
Right, they talk about those regular environmental scans, right?
Oh yeah, like actively seeking out information about what's happening in your industry.
Exactly. What your competitors are doing, what new trends are emerging.
It's not enough to just have a plan. You have to be paying attention.
Yes, you have to constantly monitor the environment and be ready to pivot.
So being flexible is key.
Absolutely. They also emphasize the importance of testing your strategy, allowing your team to make mistakes.
And learn from them.
Yes, it's that fail fast mentality, but with the understanding that failure is an opportunity to learn and improve.
And they encourage companies to seek out external perspectives.
Whether through consultants, advisors, or even just talking to your customers.
Getting their feedback.
Right. It's about being open to new ideas, challenging your own assumptions.
And constantly seeking ways to improve.
Exactly. It's about embracing a mindset of continuous learning and adaptation.
Okay, we've covered so much ground already. Focus, slow thinking, zero-based thinking, the 7 greats, the importance of quality and customer service, worst possible outcome thinking, the principle of constraints, business model innovation, staying agile and adaptable.
It is a lot to process.
It is, but that's what we do in these deep dives, right?
Where we take a mountain of information.
And we boil it down to the essentials.
Just for you.
So, for someone listening, what are the key takeaways they should be thinking about?
I think the biggest takeaway is that business success, it's not about luck or having a brilliant idea.
It's about more than that.
It's about strategic thinking, disciplined execution, and a relentless focus on delivering value to your customers.
It's about making intentional choices, backing up your intuition with data, and building a team that's aligned with your vision and values.
And it's about embracing a mindset of continuous learning and adaptation, being willing to challenge the status quo, and constantly seeking ways to improve.
It's a journey, not a destination. And while there's no magic formula,
the insights we've gathered from these sources can provide a really solid roadmap to navigate that journey.
Absolutely. By understanding these principles, by applying them thoughtfully and consistently, we can significantly increase our chances of achieving the success we desire. Okay, so we have this strong foundation of principles, but Tracy also uses some really compelling examples and anecdotes in the video.
Oh, absolutely. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, he brings these ideas to life.
And they stick with you, you know.
Let's dive into some of those stories. Which one should we start with?
Well, one of the most memorable is about this guy named Mitch.
Mitch.
Yeah, he owned these 3 incredibly successful restaurants.
Okay, I think I remember this one. He did 0 advertising.
Yeah, but his restaurants were always packed. People were lining up to get in.
What was his secret?
When people asked him, Mitch would just say, "We always put it on the plate."
Meaning?
He focused on delivering exceptional food at a fair price.
And that was all the marketing he needed.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the simplest approach is the best.
Focus on quality, and the rest will follow.
And it's a perfect example of how powerful word-of-mouth marketing can be.
People have great experience. They tell their friends.
It's the best advertising.
So Mitch and his restaurants are a great example of focusing on quality and the customer experience.
Yeah.
What other story does Tracy share?
He tells this cautionary tale about a company that was struggling to sell a mediocre product.
Oh, I think I remember this one. They poured tons of money into marketing.
Thinking that was the solution.
But it backfired.
Totally. Because, as Tracy says, the fastest way to kill a bad product is to advertise it.
You're just exposing more people to something that's not good.
And that's going to hurt your reputation in the long run.
It's a reminder that quality has to come first.
Always. Okay, so we've got the inspiring story of Mitch and his restaurants, and then the cautionary tale about the dangers of marketing a bad product. What other examples does Tracy use to illustrate his points?
Well, he shares this fascinating story about a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah. They were doing everything they thought they were supposed to be doing.
But nothing was working.
And this is where he talks about the importance of identifying your most important number, right?
Yes. They were so focused on sales
But they weren't paying attention to profitability.
or other metrics that might have given them a clearer picture.
Exactly. And once they identified their most important number, in their case, it was net contribution margin.
Okay.
They were able to completely turn their business around.
From almost closing their doors to massive success.
It's amazing what the right data can do.
It really reinforces the importance of understanding the numbers.
The numbers that matter most for your business.
Okay, so far we've got Mitch's Restaurants, the warning about marketing a bad product, and the company that found its most important number. Any other stories from the YouTube video that stand out?
There's one where Tracy emphasizes the importance of having a clearly defined sales process.
Oh yeah, I think I remember this one. Every salesperson was doing their own thing.
It was chaos. The results were all over the place.
And then they implemented a standardized sales process.
And their sales skyrocketed.
It's like they finally had a system, a playbook to follow.
Exactly. And it created consistency and predictability in their results.
It highlights how much of a difference a systematized approach can make.
Especially in sales. And it underscores the importance of training your sales team, giving them the tools and the scripts they need to succeed.
It's also a great example of how even small changes can have a huge impact on your bottom line. Okay, so we've got a lot of great examples from the YouTube video. What about the Remotion article? Do they share any stories or case studies that illustrate their points?
They don't go into specific case studies in the same way Tracy does.
Okay.
But their advice is definitely grounded in real-world experience. They provide a lot of practical tips.
Tips you can actually use.
Exactly. Like they talk about the importance of being realistic and honest with yourself about your business.
Okay, so no sugarcoating.
Really understand your limitations, what you're good at and what you're not so good at.
It's about acknowledging that you can't be everything to everyone.
Right. And they're big on making data-driven decisions.
Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment.
Exactly. This ties back to Tracy's point about slow thinking.
It's about taking the time to gather the information you need, analyze the situation.
And then make a decision based on logic and reason.
Not just your gut feeling.
And they're big proponents of the power of simplicity.
Keeping things simple.
Yeah, focus on doing a few things really well rather than trying to do everything at once.
This is something I struggle with sometimes.
Oh, I think we all do. There's always something new and shiny to chase after.
It's easy to get distracted.
But Remotion makes a compelling case for streamlining your efforts and really focusing on what matters most.
They also highlight the importance of sustainability.
Oh, that's a big one these days, both in terms of your business model and your impact on the environment.
Customers want to know that the businesses they support are operating ethically and responsibly.
And Remotion encourages companies to seek out mentors and advisors.
People who can guide you along the way.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone.
And there's a whole community of entrepreneurs out there who are happy to help.
It's about building a strong network of support.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the theoretical to the practical, and we've heard some really inspiring stories along the way. But as we wrap up this part of the deep dive, what's the one thing you want listeners to walk away thinking about?
I think the most important takeaway is that business success isn't a mystery.
It's not something that just happens to some people.
There's no secret formula, no guarantee of riches. It's about understanding the fundamental principles that drive success.
And then diligently applying those principles to your own unique business.
Having a clear vision, a solid strategy, and the discipline to execute that strategy.
Even when things get tough.
And it's about never stopping learning, never being satisfied with the status quo, and always striving to improve.
It's a journey, not a destination. And while it can definitely be challenging at times,
it's also incredibly rewarding, especially when you start to see your vision come to life.
Absolutely. By embracing the insights we've gleaned from these sources and applying them thoughtfully and consistently, we can significantly increase our chances of achieving the success we desire. So for those listening, here's your challenge.
I love a good challenge.
Take some time to really reflect on the principles and stories we've discussed today. Think about how they apply to your business. And most importantly, take action.
Even if it's just one small step.
Start implementing these ideas.
And watch as your business begins to thrive.
Because ultimately, success isn't about what you know.
It's about what you do with what you know. And with the knowledge and inspiration you've gained from this deep dive.
You're well on your way to achieving your business goals.
So go out there and make it happen.
It's kind of funny, when you think about it.
What's that?
Both Tracy and Remotion, They almost seem to be saying that you don't need this super formal, rigid business plan.
Yeah, like those massive documents.
Exactly. It's almost like that traditional approach is, I don't know,
Kind of outdated.
yeah, like they're too focused on trying to predict the future.
And who can do that, really?
Right. The world changes so fast, maybe it's more about being able to adapt
Being flexible.
than having everything perfectly mapped out ahead of time.
Tracy even mentioned that a lot of what they teach in business schools.
About those long business plans.
Yeah. It's not actually how a lot of successful companies operate.
I remember he said something like 49 out of 50 businesses.
Are started without a formal business plan.
Crazy, right?
It makes you think.
Promotion, they kind of echo that sentiment.
Oh, totally. They're all about being agile.
Iterative, constantly tweaking things.
Yeah, it's like you have this framework, these guiding principles.
But you're not afraid to adjust them as you go.
Exactly. You learn as you go, the market shifts.
You got to be ready to pivot.
Both sources, they really emphasize testing your assumptions.
Not just assuming you know everything.
Get out there, gather data, be willing to change course if something isn't working.
It's like that build, measure, learn loop.
Oh yeah, the lean startup approach.
Exactly. And Tracy's whole fail fast thing, that fits right in.
Don't be afraid to try things and see what happens.
Better to adjust quickly than spend months on a plan that's not going to work.
This is especially important for new businesses, you know?
When you're just starting out.
It's a time to experiment, to embrace the uncertainty.
You know, as we're talking, I keep thinking about this one thing.
What's that?
It's not just about building a successful business. It's about building a business that you actually believe in.
Oh, totally. One that reflects your values.
Yeah, and your vision for the world.
Like Tracy talked about integrity, being ethical.
Even when it's hard, right.
Yeah, and Remotion, they're big on building a strong brand identity.
One that's authentic, that resonates.
And creating a company culture that reflects those values.
It's not just words, it's how you actually operate.
It's got to be real.
And that ties into this whole idea of purpose, right?
Yeah. More and more businesses are talking about their why.
It's not just about making money. It's about making a difference.
And customers, I think they can tell the difference.
Oh, yeah. They can sniff out a fake a mile away.
They want to support businesses that are doing good in the world.
When you're clear about your purpose.
And your actions match your words.
That creates this authenticity.
That people are drawn to.
So yeah, it's about building a business you can be proud of.
One that contributes to something bigger than just yourself.
I think that's what true success looks like.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's the final thought you'd like to leave with our listeners?
If I could just say one thing, it would be this.
I'm listening.
Business success, it's not just about the numbers.
There's more to it.
It's about building something meaningful, something you believe in.
Something that makes a difference.
If you do that, the success will follow.
So well said. All right, listeners, time to put all this into action. Think about those principles we talked about.
Stories.
And how they apply to your business.
Don't be afraid to experiment, to take some risks.
Keep learning, keep growing.
And remember,
building a successful business, it's a journey.
It's not always easy.
But it's definitely an adventure.
That's a wrap on this deep dive, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you're feeling inspired.
Ready to take your business to the next level.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.